Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm MK.
And I'm Courtney.
And Courtney.
Yes.
How are you?
I am okay. I'm a little tired. It's been a long week at work, but I'm also tired because I was out a little late last night because I cannot control myself. And so I love to go see at least one show a week. And I've been wanting to see A Perfect Crime, which is an off-Broadway show, like murder mystery type show. And so when I was out with Noelle and Joe for drinks last Friday, I mentioned it. Noelle was like, "Oh, I want to see that." So I was like, "Yes, let's go. Let's do that." So Tuesday was the day we were both off, and so we went, and I was a little disappointed.
Oh no!
I thought it was gonna be really good. It was at the theater center on 49th in Broadway.
Okay.
An off-Broadway show. But and I thought it was gonna be really good. And it was just okay. But then they gave us this it was very strange because they gave us an answer sheet at the end to make sure we understood what happened, I guess.
That tells me you didn't do your job.
Well, I understood everything that was on the answer sheet already. So I didn't understand.
If you're preemptively assuming your audience didn't understand the play, did you do your job?
Right. So that caught me off guard a little bit when I was leaving, and it was a little strange. But it was, it was fine. I'm glad I saw it. Will not see it again, but it's fine. But I did go to Magic Hour, which is the rooftop bar at the Moxie.
Okay.
But it was enclosed because it was cold, and but it was really cute. And I spent way too much money. Excuse me. And I got the drink that was called We Were on a Break, and it was very good. It was very refreshing. And then Michael, who is one of Noelle's friends that we were meeting up with, he got the Moira Rose, and it has a rose ice cube in it.
I'm obsessed.
It was very cute. It was very pricey. But it was a fun time. And then I got home at almost 1 a.m. But it was worth it. It was a good time. So how are you?
I am so excited right now. You have no idea what I'm about to say. So last couple episodes, I was talking to all of you about Comic-Con in Philadelphia. And I said, while I was there, that there was not a lot of Stargate merch. Because apparently, despite Reddit saying otherwise, not super popular in the Comic-Con world.
I was trying to change my lighting and it didn't do well. Where's my white light? Okay. I'm so sorry for interrupting you. I thought I was going to change into white light directly and it didn't.
It's okay.
I'm so sorry.
So there was one stand at the Comic-Con that sold just old vintage t-shirts and stuff. And my dad and I were talking to the guy who ran it just about stuff they've done at cons and everything. And we were actually, whereabout are you located? And they were like, well, our store's in up near Buffalo, New York. And we were like, same. And he was like, actually, it's in North Tonawanda. Literally, it's between my work and my house.
That's amazing.
It is. And he was like, yeah, I'm originally from Canada, but I have a work permit in the States. And my other guy who works with me is from North Tonawanda. We have this thing. We sell vintage stuff. Mostly they sell it on eBay. They're called MTC Toys. If you're looking for any vintage, toys, clothing, patches, all that kind of stuff, they're great. And they come to all the fan expos and everything. And they make custom pieces.
Ooh.
So I have this jacket is the greatest thing that has ever happened to me in my entire life.
I'm nervous.
If you listen to our podcast on Spotify, you have to go to YouTube. Sorry. Because This
I love it.
is my Stargate jacket. And on the sleeves are the actual, like this is the Earth designation Stargate patch. And the other sleeve has the Air Force and the SG-1 patch. Like it's actually identical to their jackets in the show.
That's amazing.
And so I am so freaking obsessed with this jacket.
I love it so much. They did a great job too.
I know, it's amazing. Like the patches, the color on them is phenomenal. And it is, yeah, it's just absolutely everything. So I told Courtney after Comic-Con that I bought something that I couldn't talk to her about. And I've been waiting because I wanted to reveal it on the podcast to my other fellow Stargate freaks. It is perfect. Once this episode comes out, I will post pictures on the Instagram.
Yes.
Of the jacket. But
what day does this episode come out?
Sunday the 24th, yes.
We missed Easter.
We did. Yep. But funnily enough, the episode that came out on Easter was the episode called Lazarus, about people coming back from the dead. So like I felt like it was appropriate.
I think so.
So yeah, that is my high point of this week.
I love it.
My Stargate bomber jacket. I am
amazing.
Obsessed. My mom was like, you have to wear an olive green, like military looking shirt to go with it. And I was like, done.
Yes. And your eyes match your nails. Look at you.
They're Stargate blue. And they match the back of the shirt. And I got my hair done. And I am living my best life.
You truly are. Look at you.
I've got wine.
You are absolutely killing it.
I literally, the owner of the shop is in Calgary right now for another expo. So he wasn't answering my text messages yesterday, which is fine because it was on his American phone number and I didn't realize. And when I sent him an email, he like emailed me back and explained everything, but he wasn't answering my texts. And I go, I need to get this jacket before the podcast. I've been waiting so long.
We should follow him on Instagram. Is it just MTC Toys?
Yes. And I will, when I post everything, I will obviously tag them and their amazing work, and they're the best. So thanks, Danny.
Wonderful. I love it. That's a great update. I like it.
Yeah. So the funniest thing though was when I was looking, I was like, I'm going to find, what actually happened was I was looking to find an Ahsoka Tano t-shirt to wear for my picture with Ashley. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't find any that weren't of the live action Rosario Dawson version of Ahsoka Tano. But I found two Stargate t-shirts. I found two Stargate t-shirts and I was like, oh. But then as I was going through this same merch place, MCT Toys like booth, I also found a dope MacGyver t-shirt. And I go, Dad, I don't think I can get both. And he was like, why? And I was like, because I think if I have too many things that have Richard Dean Anderson's face on it, it makes me a little creepy.
No, they're different things.
Kind of. Let's be real. At this point in Stargate, only kind of.
That's true, I guess. I don't know. I haven't watched MacGyver, so
that's true. And Jack is not quite as smart. I mean, he's smart, but he's not quite as smart as MacGyver. But I mean, like, we're on episode 7, and I don't think a single director or writer of the show so far was not involved in MacGyver. Well, you know, at this point, it's just MacGyver in space.
I love that. That is such a fun.
So yeah,
wine.
I feel like a badass.
You are. What wine are you drinking?
It's called Josh.
Cabernet.
Yes.
That's a good one. It's like it's a little darker than what you normally drink.
I know. It's also I opened it too long ago and I really should. It's oxidized as shit. And my first sip was like, okay, cool. That's where we're going. So it's not as good as it probably could be, but
No, but it's a really good wine.
yes. But since all of my updates today were just about Stargate.
Hey, you know what else ages well, like fine wine?
Oh, nice. I like it. I also have a 90s choker on just to like go with the whole 97 vibe.
I like it. I am there.
So this episode of Stargate was season 1, episode 7, allegedly.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Well, because here's the thing. In my mind, when last week I saw that episode 6 was actually played 7th in the season, I just assumed that this episode would then be played 6th. But turns out it's actually episode 12 of volume 3 of season 1 DVD disc set. And I'm 1,000% unsure why, when they made the DVD set, they were just like, let's just toss all the episodes in a pile and pick them out at random.
That's exactly what it sounds like. Because volume 3, episode 12 is a lot farther in than we are.
Correct.
And this is definitely like early vibes.
Correct. But also, does that mean that the rest of the season is going to have no development? Because like that's kind of what it's telling me.
I mean, well, that would be the rest of the season, and then season 2 and the beginning of season 3. Like,
oh no, volume 3 of season 1.
Oh, I was thinking like volume 3.
Sorry, no, the show is so old that when it came out on DVD, it still had 5 discs.
Oh, I see. You're separate discs. I see.
Yeah. I can show you a picture of what the box set looks like. I have it.
I do believe you. I believe you.
Yes, so it was on volume 3, so the 3rd disc in the DVD set, not the 3rd season.
That is much better. I feel much better about that than I did.
Perfect. But so this episode, it is season 1, episode 7. It was called The Knox.
Yes.
I was so excited. And I cannot tell you any more details because spoilers. But it was rated 8.1 stars, which
highest?
Maybe. What was the first episode?
Thought it was 7.9.
I think you are correct that it was 7 point something. No, it was also 8.1. So this is tied with the first episode.
Gotcha.
But it came out on September 12th, 1997, which, fun fact, means that it is the first episode of the show post Princess Diana dying, which is completely random.
It's very random. I thought you were going to be going to 11, and then I was like, that didn't happen yet. And I was
no, and it's because while looking at songs for this episode, I found out that Elton John's Candle in the Wind, Diana, like Princess Diana version, was released on September 13th of 1997, which means that this episode happened right after she died, which is completely irrelevant to anything, except for that I've been watching a bunch of old YouTube videos from when Diana the musical was the thing for a minute there.
Oh, yeah. I didn't see that.
So Princess Diana is on my brain.
Fair.
The number 1 song was unfortunately not yet Candle in the Wind, because it wasn't out yet. It was Mo Money, Mo Problems by the Notorious B.I.G. featuring Puff Daddy and Mace. Big fact. That song was released in July, but then Biggie died, and then everybody was doing tribute stuff. And then as soon as the tribute stuff went, people started like being like, man, we really miss Biggie. And they just started playing his music over and over and over again. So somehow, posthumously, this became the number 1 song.
Yes. Look, it's a fun song. And I quote it constantly. So like, and it's what, 1,000 years
I also sing that song more frequently than I would like to admit.
Yes.
The number one movie, on the other hand, is something that I have quite literally never heard of, and I don't think should exist.
Oh.
It is called Fire Down Below.
Is that the UFO movie?
No, it is not. It is an action film starring Steven Seagal, which late 90s Steven Seagal action film means it should be erased from history, and we should just pretend that that part of our human civilization didn't exist.
I'm trying to think of 90s Steven Seagal. I believe you.
No, not. I can't think of a single Steven Seagal movie that was watchable.
So this was an action film?
Yeah. It was, I literally recognized zero of the names of actors in the movie other than Steven Seagal. Like, not even like just casually. None of them meant anything to me. And the events of this day were not Princess Diana dying, but they were deaths.
Okay.
Stig Anderson, who was the founder, manager, and original co-writer of ABBA.
I need to stop you for a minute. Chris Christopherson was in this movie.
Was he?
Do you not know who Chris Christopherson is?
I don't. The name sounds vaguely familiar, but I remember while reading it, I didn't recognize any names. So,
and Randy Travis was in this movie.
Randy Travis shouldn't be in any movies.
And Marty Stewart and Travis Tritt.
Okay, those two mean absolutely nothing to me.
All of these people are like very famous country singers.
Why are any of them in an action movie?
Chris Christopherson did a lot of action movies around this time period. I didn't watch any of them. Randy Travis has done a lot of films and stuff. I don't know why Marty Stewart and Travis Tritt are in it. But the rest of them, the other two, did do a lot of film work. Chris Christopherson specifically. He was in the original what? Oh, sorry, I like died. What is
A Star Is Born? He was in A Star Is Born. Not the original, but the second of the three.
What was the Overboard? I thought he was also in Overboard, but maybe
I have no idea. Again, I'm so glad that those names meant something to you. They didn't to me. Okay. They meant nothing to me.
But they meant a lot. I mean, I know them as singers mostly, but they were also acting. And Travis
again, still does not make the movie sound watchable.
No, it doesn't like make me want to watch it.
Good.
But I do recognize those people, and I think a lot of people probably recognize those people.
Cool. Back to people that I recognized. Stig Anderson. He is not one of the four members of ABBA, obviously, but he was their manager, and he like co-wrote a bunch of their early songs, including like Waterloo and Mamma Mia.
Like the big ones.
Yeah. And he died on that day.
Sad.
Also, Judith Merrill passed away that day. And she is not someone you probably would have heard of. I really only vaguely heard of her, but I thought she was good to mention on this podcast because she was super, super prolific in sci-fi novel writing. She was a huge part of women writing sci-fi and like that movement in the 70s.
Write her down.
Yeah. She wrote for a sci-fi magazine that did critiques of sci-fi novels through all of the 60s. She was a big part of the women in sci-fi movement. So I thought as a sci-fi female podcast, we should give her a shout out.
I like it. You said Judith Miller is her name?
Judith Merrill, Merril.
All right. I will be looking into her and reading some of her stuff.
Fantastic.
I love it. Okay.
This episode was directed by Charles Cornell. He only directed 2 episodes, but he directed a bunch of TV, a lot of CSIs, Without a Trace, and Surprise MacGyver.
Shocked,
I know. It was written by Hart Hansen, who this is his only episode, and he does a lot more work as a producer these days, but that's because he is the creator and original writer of the show Bones.
Oh.
And the spinoff of Bones, The Finder.
I did not even know there was a spinoff.
Oh my God, it was so good.
Was it better than Bones?
No. And it didn't last more than like a season.
Okay.
But like,
I'm just so
oh
stuck.
man, what was that character's name? Mom, The Finder, the Bones spinoff. What was that guy's name? Wasn't it like Booth's like brother or partner or something?
No. Riveting.
I know.
Yeah.
The actor was from Seventh Heaven who played the fireman who was married to one of the siblings, but like I don't remember what the character's relationship to the show Bones was. But yes, so Hart Hansen created Bones and The Finder.
Interesting. Well, I am sure happy for him.
You didn't like Bones, did you?
I didn't care for it.
God,
I might like it. I didn't hate it, but it's one that I'm just like, I can watch in pieces and then I have to watch something else.
That's fair. I love it. I love it. We do have one important guest star. Kind of 2, but one we've talked about before because Peter Williams is back. And when I saw Peter Williams on the credit, I said, oh, thank God Courtney will be thrilled. Apophis is actually back.
I was. It was about time.
Right. But our other guest star was Armin Zimmerman. I feel like I just butchered that name because I can't read my own handwriting.
Right. I'm familiar with it.
But his name is Armin, and he played Antius, who was one of the Nox. He is hugely famous in the voice acting world, particularly as Dr. Nefarious in all of the Ratchet and Clank games and movies. But that is not what he's the most known for. His most notable role was in Star Trek Deep Space Nine as the character Quark. He's kind of a big deal.
I'm sure he is.
Like to the point where when my mom saw his name in the credits, she said, oh, is he playing a human? I said, no, don't worry. He's not. He doesn't do that.
Oh, I love that. I do not know him. I'm so sorry. He did look familiar, but I don't know him from Star Trek. So,
well, I'm guessing you didn't binge watch Deep Space Nine.
I did not. You are correct.
So there's that. So we start the episode in the gate room, and our team is showing the gate to the Secretary of Defense. And
I'm glad you cleared that up because I said, is that the president?
No, they called him Mr. Secretary.
Oh, I missed that.
Right. So they're showing it to the Secretary of Defense, and Sam is like, yeah, like we've been to 19 different planets. And I was like, that's good because we've seen 4.
Right. You're on
maybe 5. But then we find out that the government is like not thrilled because, as the US government likes to do, they are going out into these other planets and they're not bringing any superior technology back because clearly the alien life and the language and history that they're learning, not enough.
Right. Right. What are we without weapons?
Well, I mean, even just like technology, but mostly weapons.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Teal'c is like, oh, like fun fact, there's this one planet where people just go invisible. And like the Goa'uld haven't figured it out yet. And I was like, where were you with this information like 6 episodes ago?
Right.
And
but also like keep your secrets, Tilk. Like you don't really, I know you've been there for a couple of months, but like
yeah, but like Teal'c doesn't understand that you just like should lie to the government. Yeah. So then Sam and Jack are like, see, we could find technology. We could do this. You don't have to cancel the Stargate mission. And so they go to this planet that Teal'c knows about. And then I was really confused because I thought Jack went alone.
Mm-hmm. I did too.
But don't worry, he didn't. They're all there. I don't know what the point of making us think he was alone for a second was. Like, I really don't.
I did not follow. I was like, oh, did he get trapped there and they weren't able to get through too or something? And then they were already there. And I was like, did it not let him through? I'm like, I don't know why we're doing this.
But then all of a sudden the Stargate goes invisible. And that's not great for leaving the planet.
Right.
So they're like trying to figure out where the invisible creature is and blah 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 and do their mission. And they see. I
also want you to know, before the Stargate disappeared, they were describing these invisible creatures as like a hummingbird with teeth. And that scared me. I was like, that is terrifying.
Which honestly, that's a valid fear.
It is, and it's not a terrible description when we find out later.
Correct. But so they see something moving, invisible but moving, and they're like, oh my gosh, we are going to catch it so easily. And then somebody shoots it, and it's a Goa'uld weapon. And so Jack is like, Teal'c, what the F are you doing? And Teal'c's like, bro, not me.
Yeah.
Fun fact, it's not him. It's our favorite villain, Apophis. And then Danley. I just had a stroke.
You sure did.
Then Daniel finally remembers he has a wife.
Right.
Because he
is back at it again.
He's like Apophis. He sees Apophis and he starts going, we have to go after him. We have to find Sharae. We have to do this. Like, this is our chance. And I was like, bro, you have forgotten about your wife for the last 6 episodes. And suddenly you are aggressive.
Which is 19 planets worth. And apparently, which is like, gotta be like 6 months. Because they're not going every day.
Right. So, after 6 months, Daniel's like, I have not gotten laid. I miss my wife.
He's like, oh yeah, I had one of those. Let's find her. I'm ready now, right now.
Right. And then very sweetly, Jack does like a mental health check-in with Teal'c. And he's like, hey, bud. He's like, hey, bud, like, you haven't seen these people since you ran away. Can you handle it? How you doing? And Teal'c's like, nah, bitch. This is what we got to do.
And I put that he's such a good leader because he's always checking in with the team before he's going forward. He like, as much as he like fusses with them about stuff when they suggest, he does actually listen to what they say.
Right. And
he's such a good leader.
And he like cares. Even though he doesn't like have emotions, he was like, I need you to be okay. And like, there's the part of it that's like, if your team's not okay, you're not going to succeed. But also like, he genuinely is like, we don't have to do this.
Yeah.
So then the team ambushes Apophis and his guard because they think they know all the weapons and stuff that he has, because obviously Teal'c was there, been there, done that. But then Apophis has this like weird shield that none of them know what to do with, and he like protects himself. and he then kills everyone.
Right. And I was like, okay, I don't know what is happening, but okay.
Yeah. And Teal'c stands up to Apophis, and he is like, Apophis is like, you're a traitor. That's the word Solaka, I think is what he calls him, which is their language for traitor. And fun fact, Teal'c will be called that often.
I wish that they had subtitles for their language, because it's not even like a real language. It's not like I could be like, oh, I'll just go look up what the French version
Right.
is.
Which is absolutely fair. Usually, when there's important words, we will then get a translation, and I'm sure that word will have a translation elsewhere in the series because it is an important thing. Sholva. Sholva is what they call him, and it means traitor. And again, it is the first time, but not the last time that Teal'c will be called that. The other thing that Teal'c says is when he officially starts to be shot at by Apophis, Apophis is like, you can come back. And he says, no, I die free.
Yeah.
Which will, in the future, become the unofficial motto of the Rebel Jaffa.
Ooh.
Because spoiler alerts, Teal'c will not be the only Rebel Jaffa in the series.
Right. I mean, that is...
Which kind of has to be how that works. How else would you be able to defeat the Goa'uld without having some of the other Jaffa on your side?
Exactly. Like that. Yeah. That's the only thing that makes sense. So I don't think that's
right. That's why I'm like, I have no problem with giving that bit of a spoiler, because that's just like a logical storytelling point.
Right.
And so Apophis is like, okay, you want to die free? Gonna kill you. And then all of a sudden, everyone disappears.
I was like, they're like dead. I was like, what is happening?
And Apophis is like, the actual fuck just happened. And then we go to what might be the funniest dialogue in the show so far. Because Daniel wakes up and is very confused as to the fact that he is awake.
And not dead.
And then he sees Sam laying there, and her wound is also now healed. And so he just starts touching her stomach awkwardly, which made me 18 levels of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then he's like, hey, I think we were killed. And she's like, yeah, I think so. And he goes, that's kind of unfortunate. I thought heaven would be a little more upscale than this. And she goes, I don't think we're in heaven.
Oh, that was so funny. And I didn't write down a lot of quotes from this episode, but that was what I wrote down because I could not stop laughing.
But then it gets better, because then they wake Jack up, and Jack's like, I think we were, and they were like, yeah, killed. You were. And he goes, and I'm like, dead. They were like, yeah, like dead. And he was like dead? And they're like, yep, us too. And he goes, all right, well, that's where we're at now.
Yeah.
Like, they're all just like, we were genuinely just murdered.
Yeah. They were like, I felt myself die.
Which, to be honest, I'd like to do a psychology study on that experience.
Well, they tried with one of the women. They tried it with beheadings.
Yeah, but like, you're never fully healed after that. You know what I mean?
No. They just wanted to see how long it would last. I guess you're talking about coming back.
Yeah, no, the psychology experiment of like dying and coming back. Like, what happened?
Speaking of missing Easter and
right.
Resurrection.
Like, weird. Yeah. Like, what happened? Especially because these people are not like particularly religious people.
Right.
And the show is not particularly religious. In fact, like, the show has kind of gone so far as to be like, gods are aliens.
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, if you listen to like, what is it? Oh my gosh, I truly have no brain. what is it called? The hospice.
Yeah.
If you listen to like hospice stories and stuff, like I do, they have a lot of similar stories for people who have passed away or who have almost passed away and then not. It's a lot. I mean, the like don't go towards the light is a thing for a reason. Like people see like a light, they see like different stuff like that.
Right.
But are you talking about like how they are after they come back, how they handle it or recover
all
from
of it? All of it. Like what? And also, like, what did you expect to happen? How was it different than what happened? How was waking up again like jolting to your experience? Because they all seemed to have very different reactions to being awake and not dead, which I think goes to the fact that all three of them have very different like life philosophies and what like death would have happened. And I know that the scene is pretty much the least significant scene of the episode, but it intrigued me in a way that I wanted to talk about.
It was one of my favorite scenes still because the dialogue was hilarious and I agree, you can truly see like where each person's at. I mean, you see Daniel and Sam trying to be logical, trying to like
they're trying to be logical, but they're also like clearly believe in some kind of afterlife because they're surprised.
Right. And then you see Jack who like doesn't care that he died. And it's because he's so like worn down as a human that it's just like that didn't even phase him. He was just like, hey.
Right. And like you've got Daniel who's like, wow, I thought heaven would be different. And Sam who's like, I don't think that this is what like Sam's like, there has to be another answer because this couldn't possibly be what heaven was like. But that makes sense because we know Sam is like super religious for a scientist and she reads the Bible. So like she's like, no. So Daniel clearly believes in a heaven. Sam believes in a heaven in a much more biblical sense where this couldn't possibly be heaven.
Right.
And Jack's just like, well, fuck, I'm dead and now I'm not dead. What am I supposed to do with that?
Right. Yes.
And then all of a sudden the Knox come in, which we don't know they're the Knox yet, but the Knox people come in.
The tree people.
That's fair. The Knox people come in and they're just fucking staring at them. And then they go outside and they're feeding them. And then Teal'c shows up. And I don't remember.
Village.
Yeah. I don't remember what they asked Teal'c, but I remember that Teal'c's answer had me cackling because he was just so matter of fact.
I also do not remember what they asked him, but I did write down his response because I also was dying.
Right.
He's just like, I can't tell you that.
Oh, they were like, oh, yeah. They were like, he was like, Teal'c, please tell me that I don't something.
Oh,
I don't
like Apophis is dead or that you've captured him or something.
Or something, or that you understand what these people are or something. Like they're like basically like, please tell us you have some kind of answers. And he goes, I cannot tell you that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Teal'c. Here for it.
I like the fairness.
And then, unsurprisingly, the little child is drawn to Sam because everyone is apparently Nefreyu. Nefreyu is drawn to Sam, and he introduces himself, and he's like, I'm Nefreyu. And she's like, I'm Carter. And Jack's like, we can't keep him.
Yeah.
And if that does not tell you that they're secretly in a relationship, I don't know what else does.
Right.
Because she's like, look how cute. And he's like, no, we can't take him home. And that's every couple I've ever known.
That's fair.
And so then they continue having conversations, trying to figure out what the fuck they're going to do and how they were healed and what is going on. And they think that the Knox can't understand them because up to this point, the Knox have said jack shit.
Yeah.
And then the Knox just start talking. And they were like,
they learned this language very quickly.
They were like, it just took us a while to pick up on your speech patterns. And they're like, a while? Bitch, that was 10 minutes.
Right.
I'm like, I have 8th graders who don't know English that well.
Yeah.
And the Knox want them to leave and take their ways with them because we learned very quickly that this family of Knox super anti-violence. Like like would in fact have been the people putting daisies in rifles. Like they were like not about it.
They're the hippie folksy people.
Yes. In fact, I'm pretty sure I call them hippies multiple points during my notes.
Well, I just called them the tree people the whole time. So
I call them, I call them the hippie knocks. But also I knew they were the knocks because not my first rodeo.
Right. I thought Nox was going to be like, what it's like a spell in Harry Potter. You say Nox and it turns out the lights.
That is true.
And so I thought it was going to be something about darkness. I guess it's invisibility. So like it's kind of,
but
like it was not.
It was not, no. Then it turns out that there's another person there. They're like, oh yeah, your brother's still healing. I was like, what? The person is another Jaffa.
Mm-hmm.
And we find out that the Nox are not the ones that have the invisibility power, and they're basically just like weird Quakers.
Yes.
So then the team is still just trying to figure out what they're going to do. There's a lot of just like them talking about what are we going to do.
Right. Yes.
There's quite a few scenes that I don't have a lot of details because they're just
not detailed.
Yeah. And so they're like, Apophis is not going to let us leave. But also, when Shackle, who's the other Jaffa, wakes up, he's going to be pretty fucking pissed.
Right. Before we go forward, we did learn the invisible things. They're called the Fenry.
Oh, the Fenry, yes. I did not write the name of the Fenry down because I found them irrelevant.
I wrote them down because I found them fascinating.
I love that for you.
Thank you.
I sometimes find things fascinating, and sometimes I'm like, not useful for the story.
I really stuck to my hummingbird with teeth visual.
Which is honestly, I think I missed that line. But I think I would have had nightmares about it if I hadn't.
I think that's fair, but I really fixated on it. I was
fascinated. Which honestly, absolutely valid.
I wish I could draw so that I could draw a hummingbird with teeth.
I'm glad you can't, because that's the most terrifying thought I've ever had.
Yeah,
like birds with teeth in general, like birds having teeth is in fact the most terrifying thing in the world to me.
Yeah. Well, I did some Googling and there are some hummingbirds that have teeth.
No.
But they're not like, they're hard to see. They're so tiny.
Yeah, no.
I'm going to find someone to draw a hummingbird with teeth.
If you do, please get it tattooed on your decolletage.
I thought you were going to say like on my neck.
No. But your decolletage yes. Right here.
Yes.
Just a hummingbird with teeth.
And then no regrets.
No regrets. I mean, I want a tattoo so bad. I've been like texting people the last like 3 days being like, I need a tattoo. I'm getting a raven tattooed and I'm trying to decide if I want it on my arm or if I want it on my chest.
Which part of your arm?
Like my shoulder. That's not like shoulder, but like somewhere that it would be easier to hide than on my chest, to be fair.
But also not like under the arm where
no. Really I don't want I love Caitlin Bristow's bird tattoos, but like the reason they're on the back of her arms is so she can't see them. I want to be able to see it.
Right.
Where am I in my notes? Oh, so then we go back to Apophis and his Jaffas that are still with him, and they cannot find anyone on the team because, fun fact, this whole little Nox village is invisible. And then Teal'c and Shackle have a little interaction that is clearly laced with some massive animosity.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on said animosity?
I mean, I don't know. I took it very face value. Mm-hmm. I was like, they were really close at one point, I'm assuming. And when they worked together, and he felt the most betrayed, I feel like, by Teal'c's leaving them. because that's why he's got so much anger towards him still. Because it's more than it would just normally be for like a generic traitor.
Right. So the Nox we learn in the episode are psychic. And they say
So
something.
it's actually his brother.
Yeah.
Did we learn that in this episode?
They don't confirm it in this episode, but if you analyze the fact that the Nox are psychic and call him his brother, and then you read the tension that is there.
Oh.
Yes, that is actually his brother.
That makes sense.
Which I forgot about. I have to say I forgot about that, but then my mom was like, that's like his brother. And I was like, oh shit, you're right. Which, like I said, that will be confirmed. That will be confirmed, obviously, later. But like, you can, from the context clues within this episode, you can already. You don't need the confirmation to know that that's true.
That is really well done. Because I didn't notice it, but I could see how it would be like one of those things that like half the people catch, half the people don't.
Right. And it's one of those things that if you go back and you watch later episodes and then you watch this again, you're like, oh fuck, we knew from the beginning. But it's again, it's so subtle.
Oh, I love it.
I knew you would love that when you put all the pieces together. That's why I was like, what do you think? So yeah.
Okay.
And Teal'c is the older sibling.
That makes sense.
Because, I mean, and you pick that up on how many times it's like, I taught him well. I taught him how to do that. I showed him how to do that.
Right.
Which at first glance could just be that Teal'c was his commander.
Yeah.
But given the Nox's psychic ability.
I just assumed that it was like, even like war brothers. I didn't like take it as like direct brothers. But that does make
which was kind of on purpose. But here I am cracking nuts open.
I love it. All right, I'm starting to get behind the writing.
Like, I love this show. I mean, I did spend an inordinate amount of money on this jacket. So actually, no, to be very honest, it's $150 for which is not that expensive for
I don't ever spend $150 on an article of clothing except a prom dress.
Oh, my prom dress was $600. This, but I mean, it's custom made and it's hand stitched. Like the back.
I'm not saying it's not.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I have not personally ever spent that amount of money on one article of clothing.
Not even like a winter coat? Oh, you didn't live in winter.
My mom also has bought all of my winter coats. She always buys them for me for a holiday. And so I've never actually purchased one.
That's fair.
But I do believe the tag was on when I got it. I think it was $130. So like still cheaper than that. And it's nice. I love it. I love my jacket.
Nice. We find out that little Nox boy Nefreyu is hella curious.
Oh yeah.
He just wants to like know everything, and Jack is like as unfiltered as I am, and he's just like saying stuff.
Yep.
And then we see the first of the Fenry.
Yes, and this is where I have a question that comes in. Okay. So in the other planets, the Goa'uld have set them up kind of how they want to, and they technically control all of these planets.
Yeah.
But not this one. And is it because of the Fenry, or is it because of the Nox, or?
Well,
because they're here, but they're clearly not like in control of all of these. Like they're not in control of the Nox.
Correct. Well, here's the thing. The Goa'uld have no control in this planet because it is not a humanoid planet. They built the star or set up a Stargate there in order to try to conquer for the technology, which they don't know who has it.
Uh-huh.
So the Goa'uld come back every once in a while to try to get this invisibility technology. They fail, they leave, they regroup, and come back.
Gotcha. And so in this universe, not only do we have aliens, we also have magic.
That gets into a lot of stuff that I can't talk about yet.
Okay.
That the problem is because I know stuff, I can't answer your question without going into lore that is spoilery.
Gotcha. Because my only question of that is because with the Nox being a more magical people, it seems it leans more into this episode being more of a fantasy than a sci-fi.
It has a fantasy element. It feels like magic. I will say that despite some magical elements in this show, it does a very good job of bringing everything back to science in a way.
That's good. Because I was going to say, I know that like sci-fi and fantasy get intertwined a lot, even though they're, I mean, sure they have similar elements, but they're very different genres. Like if I'm reading fantasy, I'm reading werewolves and vampires. If I'm reading sci-fi, I'm reading...
Magic is just science we don't understand yet.
I guess that's true. But those just feel like very different genres to me. Like, I feel like they should be more separated than they are.
I agree. And there are some places where they do feel very different. But I think that in some kinds of sci-fi, an element of magic, in the sense that magic is just science we don't understand yet, makes sense.
That's fair. I can get behind that. I just didn't know if we were going to...
Magic, like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings level magic, is not what we're dealing with. And it doesn't fit into sci-fi. Mm-hmm. But I think like kind of like almost like superhero kinds of magic where there's like healing or teleportation or things that could
like
be
because of something else.
Like, there's something scientific or
the radiation or like the spider bite that creates Spider-Man, like that. Like there's a consequence of something else.
Right. Because like even in like Marvel, and you think about like the few characters that are really quite magic, like Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange, they explain the science behind how the magic works.
That's true. That's true.
So we're dealing more with that level of magic than like fantasy level of magic. But I will say that this is one of the shows that has always made my opinion of magic being just that magic is science we don't understand yet.
Yeah, I like magic, so I'm in.
Perfect. Jack tries to shoot the creepy Fenry flying thing. And Antius gets very, very unhappy with him. He's like, you are proving everything we thought about you correct. Get out of here.
Right.
And while this is happening, Daniel is talking to the Elder Nox, and he's like, tell me your secrets. And the old guy's like, sure, I'm 468 years old. And they're like, the fuck? Okay. And then Antius is like, ha ha ha, we lied. The Fenry is not magical. We are, and we just protect it. Thanks.
Yeah.
And then Shackle like attacks them. And so they're like, we're going to have to kill him. And the Nox are like mad and tense. And they're like, no. You can't do that. But Shackle stabs Teal'c and then murders Leah, who is the Nox woman.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, now were you going to let us kill him? And they're like, nope.
They're like, but then you're going to die. And they're like, okay. Like, it's like, all right, well.
Sounds good.
That's fine.
So then they do their healing ceremony. And it turns out that during the healing ceremonies, they lose their invisibility. And so Shackle sees them and is like, haha, I will now go tell Apophis everything. And then Teal'c is trying to find Shackle, but then Shackle's like really good at hiding because Teal'c taught him everything, and Teal'c's pissed off that Shackle's so good. And Shackle does go back to Apophis and tell them all everything about the Nox. And then we find out Nefreyu is missing.
I know. It's very sad.
And Nefreyu, I'm sorry. I love kids, but they're all fucking stupid.
I agree.
Because Nefreyu just like walked up to Apophis and was like, hey, I'm Nefreyu. And Apophis is like, that's so great. Knocks you the fuck out.
Right. Oh.
So then the team finds Nefreyu, and Jack's like, this does not sit well. He's just laying here. This is obviously a trap.
Right.
So then Jack, because like I said, he's just Space MacGyver, plans his own trap and pretends to get angry and pissed off at the Nox and leave, but then really just captures Apophis, like just attacks Apophis.
Yeah.
And he thinks that Apophis's shield is only designed, they have some weird scientific explanation about velocity and force that I was like, thank you so much for telling me. I understood none.
Right. Yes.
And so they're like, well, if we use an arrow, it's not fast enough and it'll break through the shield and it'll kill him.
Right.
Which I guess. Again,
sure.
I don't understand science.
Yeah.
And they do some badass guerrilla hand-to-hand combat where they're like popping out of shit. And then Jack is about to kill Apophis, and the Nox fucking save him.
Yeah.
And Jack's like, bitch, come on.
Like, this is what we've been going for.
So then they go back to the Nox, and they're like, can you just not? And they're like, it's okay. We sent him back through the Stargate. And now we're going to send you back through the Stargate. And they're like, but like, he's going to come back. And they're like, no, we have accepted that this is not the life we want. And once you leave, we will bury the Stargate.
Which, like, probably smart.
Right. Well, because before Jack asked them why they never buried the Stargate. And they were like, because, like, who cares?
Right.
But now that they've been discovered, they kind of have to bury it. And they agree that they will bury it, that they'll be fine. And so the team is like, but like, are you going to be okay? And Antius is like, fun fact. We are the fringe hippie group of the Nox. We live on a commune in the woods, but like our society is like the Jetsons on crack.
Yeah.
And they have a whole city with flying cars and shit. And then Daniel's like, we just got them to agree to bury the Stargate. And then they told us that they have all of this technology. We are idiots.
Mm-hmm.
And Jack, it's a beautiful moment where he's like, the young don't always do what they're told, which is what Antius had said to him.
Yep.
And then he goes, but we have that. That's something worth taking back. I was like, God, I love you.
Whoa.
I love you.
Yeah.
And then the episode ends.
Yes. So I have a generic question.
Perfect. Lay it on me.
So, Apophis.
Yeah.
He is the leader of the Goa'uld across the board. Yeah?
Yes.
If he dies, does war end? or the Gaul, like,
Not
who was their
necessarily.
leader?
Well, remember, in the movie, they killed Ra, and then Apophis appeared as the new leader of the Goa'uld.
So somebody else would come out as
So
the new
they
leader.
would just choose a different Egyptian god to
Gotcha.
be and continue ruling.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because it's like they're, but because also the Goa'uld, because of the whole fact that the Goa'uld like are born with that memory thing that we talked about early in the season, where they all have the memories of everyone ahead of them, someone would just take up the mantle.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I have no trivia really because I shared it already. It was the stuff about the DVD order and then the stuff about Teal'c and the Goa'uld language. Everything else, like trivia wise, is just about like how many people from Star Trek are on the show or just like straight up spoilers. So I chose not to share those.
Yes. Good choice. I would be upset if you spoiled. So.
Who do you want to punch?
Scarl. What is his name? Scarl?
Shackle?
I can't read my writing. That looked like a K and it's an H. It's fine. Shackle. And I didn't put a K in there at all. So.
Well, I don't actually know how it's spelled. I spell it SHAC''L.
Well, the way I spelled it was as maybe H, maybe K, ARL. And that is not it. I don't know how it's spelled, but that is not it.
Yeah, well, just like Teal'c is spelled TEAL''C, and the Goa'uld is GAO''ULD. I'm pretty confident everything just has apostrophes in it. And so I spelled it SHAC''L. I'm not 100% sure that's correct, but it felt right.
Yeah, it feels more right than what I have.
Despite deeply actually agreeing with him on some level, I would like to punch Antius just because you can't have peace with no violence. Like even Jesus flipped tables.
Yes. That is fair. I loved him, Antius. And Jesus, but in this moment, I love Antius.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love him too. I see
where you're coming from, though. Yeah.
Who's your MVP?
For you. Because I thought he was kind of adorable.
He was adorable. His little bitch ass did get kidnapped, though.
He did.
My MVP is Teal'c because he was faced with the easy choice of going back once all of his team was dead. And even though he thought that Jack and Sam and Daniel were all dead and there was no way to get back to Earth, he said, you know what? You're still wrong. And that is what I want in a man.
Teal'c. An alien with a worm in his stomach.
With more morals than any man I've ever dated.
Fair. Yeah, so after this episode, I did really like this episode. I mentioned a lot of my overall thoughts. I had to do with magic being included in the sci-fi world, stuff like that. But I did really like this episode. I think it's a fair rating. I think it's my favorite so far. Really liked the Crystal episode, but so I don't know. I'm split between which one I like better, this one or the Crystal episode. But I liked the Nox the best so far as the group of people we meet.
Yes. I will say in terms of world building and understanding the story and the point of the Stargates, this is by far my favorite episode.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just because this is the first time we've seen a planet where someone outsmarted the Goa'uld.
Yeah.
And it's the first time we've seen a planet that is like actively a society that is not just people who have been kidnapped.
Right. I did like that a lot. Yeah.
So I agree. It's probably my favorite episode so far.
I loved it.
Do you have any predictions now that we've tried to kill Apophis?
Well, we probably won't see Apophis again for like 10 more episodes.
Hey, it only took 5.5 or 6 that time.
It's a very long time to be a big plot point. I think we're going to go to a new world and see a new
every week. We're just gonna go to a new planet and see a new thing.
I don't know. That's the only thing. It's like
I know it's but at this point in the series, there's so little connective tissue between episodes that it's a little hard to do predictions.
Yeah. I'll probably like it, but I don't think I'm gonna like it as much as this episode. I feel like we're gonna take a little. It's the not quite midpoint of the season. It'll be episode 6. It's episode 8.
It'll be episode 8
on the midpoint.
Well, we're only a third. I think this episode there's 22 or 23, so we're only like a third of the way through ish.
I guess that is kind of a third. I keep thinking like 10, 11's halfway.
Yeah.
And so like we're coming up on it. We have a couple episodes that are gonna lead in.
I think we might, fingers crossed, we might have like 2 or 3 really good ones building, and then it'll be like episode 13, 14 where we start to like drop again.
Okay.
That's my
because I was gonna say I haven't seen any full seasons of this show, obviously, so I don't know how consistent the writing is, and if it is gonna have the mid-season lull like a lot of shows tend to do. Or if we're gonna get
I think in general, I think season 1 of any show, especially a show this long, has a little bit of ness to it, just because like the season is so hard to keep it consistent. And I think in long running shows you have tons of different writers a lot of the times. I will say I think next week is returning writers.
That'll be fine.
Yeah.
We can compare and contrast the episodes.
I just looked at the names. They looked familiar to me. I think it's because I've already studied them, but I didn't research next week's episode yet. So
Right. Fair.
Yeah. Well, if you have thoughts about magic and sci-fi or mid-season lulls or how cute the Knocks are, you can contact us on all of the social medias at Death and Aliens. Make sure to give a shout out and a check to MTC Toys and all of their cool vintage sci-fi and fandom merch. And follow me on all of the social media at EMKAY_superstar.
You can follow me at CECloud13, and I'd like to add that if you would like to draw a hummingbird with teeth, you can also submit that to one of our social medias. Preferably mine or the Death and Aliens, and not MK's, because I would like to see it.
Yeah, if you send it to just me privately, I might panic and block you. So like, don't do that.
You may could send it to her and then send it to me with a reaction. That's also okay.
That's yeah. Thanks for coming to this Sci-Fi Sunday. We will see you guys on Thursday for our Thriller Thursday check-in. Bye.